Sup?
Hey,
Sup?
it's
Everybody?
that time.
Yes. I've been looking forward to this all week. That and Rocky 2. Had a kick-ass Rocky 2. Looking forward to this being pretty good. Um,
Yeah, man.
uh, for part three of the iconic films of dot dot dot. This week, George A. Romero. A little bit of not really trivia because I think we've already been through and done all of that, but I can tell a few old tired facts that you know that whether anybody else really likes or cares about or not, I happen to love the shit out of this, so I'll say it anyway.
Yeah, me too, man.
Um, so you was telling me you had a little bit of trouble getting your top three. How many times did you have to go through and revise it or change it, or you still revise
Well, yeah, it's funny, man. I might still be revising it. Like I knew two of the movies, for sure, and the third one, I just, like I said, man, it's challenging with George because for me, especially two of my picks. I think they are worthy because not only are they great films, but because of what they did, in the genre and for
it?
horror, really, and for filmmaking in general, to be quite honest. So, his films, especially a bunch of his films, they're just multi-layered as far as how good they are, what they
Yeah,
mean, the craft that he put into his films. So it was challenging. It was challenging because if someone said to me, "Okay, name me your six favorite Romero movies," I could do that pretty easily. But if we're doing like a top three or a ranking of them, it's tough, man. It's
yeah.
tough.
Because with me, if I did it three times in 1 week, all three times, I bet you they would all end up different.
Right,
My
right.
my biggest struggle wasn't number three. Mine was deciding which was going to be number one between
Mm,
those probably those same two we were talking about.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, they probably are. And of course to tease it, but without saying it, and
right.
you could make an argument for either one of those to be number one. You know what I mean?
It
Like,
has been.
yeah, I mean, you probably could do a poll, with let's say 100 horror fans or 100 Romero fans, and you'd probably almost get 50-50 split. I bet you'd be close
Right.
between those two movies. So it's like
Yeah.
I said, but that's a credit to George, that's a
Yeah.
credit to
I mean,
George.
when you and I did that the thing on Night of the Living Dead, and we did that little bit of commentary and everything. At that
Hmm.
time, Dawn was my number one, and
Hmm.
Night really close too.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know that I can say that now. Since then, Night's been my favorite. Then Dawn's my favorite again. Then Night. But for some reason, the older I get, the more I appreciate and love what Night of the Living Dead brings, and the black and white and everything to it, man. And the fact
Yeah.
that movie broke so many molds. I mean, that movie
Yes.
created a subgenre that is today, I
Absolutely.
would dare to say, just as big or bigger than the zombie or than the vampire genre, which is saying a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially the vampire genre has been around what, twice as long, as the zombie subgenre. So that does say a lot. And it doesn't seem like, I mean, and I haven't watched things like The Walking Dead. I haven't really kept up with that recently, but at a time, a few years ago or whatever, I was really big into it. And of course, Greg Nicotero does the effects, for Walking Dead. He was in that wheelhouse with Romero and Savini, and he was in Day of
Yeah,
the Dead, so you know his family tree, so to speak. So George, even though we sadly lost him, what, 6 years ago now, he's
right.
still not only relevant, but you can still feel his shadow. His shadow still looms very large over not only this subgenre, that he totally just catapulted, but also in horror and filmmaking itself. And I think that's a
Right.
credit to him. It really is.
Yeah, and I didn't realize until I got a YouTube channel and started doing videos, started watching other people's videos, how
Hmm.
much people love Creepshow. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes,
People adore Creepshow, and a lot of times people forget that that's a Romero. They'll remember that King wrote it, but they won't
yes.
remember that George directed it.
That's right. That's right. And I think he did a hell of a job because, of course, with Creepshow, for me, it's still kind of like the blueprint, for an anthology, horror anthology movie. And I love all the segments in it. I love that used to be a movie, man. I'll tell you what, there used to be a movie that I would put on all the time. Like even within the last, I say even within the last couple of years, I've kind of, been on and off with it the last year and a half or so, but that's more so because I've just been busy with YouTube. But I would put that movie on no matter what I was doing, whether I was busy or able to totally focus, or sometimes, and this sounds weird, but I'd put it on right as I was, laying down, just kind of, ready to sleep or whatever, because I just enjoyed it so much, and all of the segments are fantastic. And again,
And they're all different. They're all
George,
so different. You got a lot of actors in
yes,
there. Did a lot of them like Ted Danson. We didn't even know who he was yet. And then you had
that's
old
right.
favorites like E.G. Marshall. You had
Yes.
classics like him. You had an unknown Ed Harris. You know,
Hmm.
it's just crazy. You get, Galen Ross is in that.
Yes, that was
She's the
so
one
cool
with
to see
Ted.
her.
She's on the beach. Yeah, I didn't. For
Hmm.
years, I did not realize that was her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, and I gotta admit, Leslie Nielsen, he was so good in that role. He was so dastardly and deceitful and evil, and I absolutely loved him in that role. And of course, most people, they think of, Naked Gun and Airplane,
Yeah.
but Leslie Nielsen, he had a really good career playing straight guy or, bad guy and stuff like that. Anyways, um and Adrian Barbeau is in it,
Oh
and it's
man,
like great
my favorite
stuff.
character in all of Creepshow.
Yep,
You're just like a
yep.
little kid, Henry.
Oh, she was something in that. I love that one. The box is great. I mean, the crate, that's great.
Yes, Billy. Yes, Billy. Hey,
Hal
Billy.
Holbrook, man. Yes. And it was so funny, and because I'm such a huge George fan, you have Christine, his wife was in that segment. And when Billy gets shot, she was the lady, and she's sitting there clapping and all. And of course she made appearances here and there. She was in the opening of Dawn with George, when they were at
Mhm.
the control room for the TV newscast and stuff like
Absolutely.
that. So it's just cool stuff, man. And George, just like with Carpenter, George, he really liked to use and be surrounded by people that he knew and people that he worked with, and so
They
many
still
great
work together.
stories too.
After they
Ye-
divorce, they still work together. Very seldom you
yes.
hear a couple together for many years and go through a lot.
Hmm.
And then after they split, still had say such good things about each other. And she still had the utmost great things to say about George, still to this day.
Yes. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Very cool stuff, man. And again, it's just a credit, to him and just the way he was. I mean, I've heard so many great stories, wonderful stories about how when he was doing the Dead movies, how he'd always, kind of round up extras, just right in the area and just say, "Hey, we're doing another Dead movie," and everyone's like, "Okay, we'll do it again," and just like a family atmosphere, and that's just so cool, man.
Yeah. Um, I love the way in those and really all of his movies, especially something like The Crazies. You get a little bit of goofiness, you get a little bit of fun. You always get fun in his movies, and at the
Yes.
same time, you get a really strong political message. He has,
Mhm.
and you can tell George had a lot to say,
Yeah.
but at the same
Yeah.
time, he wasn't stressed out and preaching at you while he was saying.
Yeah,
Which is
absolutely.
important.
Yep, yep.
Um,
It's very true.
Life of John Shelton there, saying so many Romero film memories. Left you a thumbs up. Thank you much. Appreciate that. There's Katie from the Popcorn. Hi, friends. How you doing?
Hey, Katie.
Happy Tuesday. Prism. Thank you so much. Prism always in there, man. Hello,
Hey.
everyone. How you doing? Or everybody saying hello to everybody. How is everyone? Hey, man. We're all doing good. I don't know about the chat. Hopefully, chat's doing good. If we're carrying over any of the craziness from last night, everybody should still be carrying a smile. I just love reciting all that stuff from Rocky, man. And it's ridiculous. That tells you how many times I've seen it. I have seen those that I just know, and they can still just brighten my day. I could be having the worst day. You talk about something
Yeah.
like George Romero, and you mix it for 2 days in a row with George Romero one day, Rocky two and another. Can't ask for more.
Yeah, man, I think that says a lot about, as movie fans. I think that's what separates, you know, hardcore movie fans versus, just kind of the average movie fans. Average movie fan, they'll watch a movie and yeah, it was good or whatever, but they may not really go deeper than that with it. They may not watch it, a bunch of times. They may not watch it again until the opportunity just kind of jumps up at them. Whereas with us, we're watching these movies and we're going deeper into the people behind the camera and stuff. And like you just said, the most important thing is it brings joy to you. It makes you
That's the
smile a
point.
little brighter. Yeah. I mean, and I think that that's the magic of being a movie fan. I mean, anytime I talk about Rocky or anytime I think about favorite scenes or anytime I listen to the sound. Matter of fact, just this morning, it's so funny. Just this morning when I was doing a workout, I was listening to some Rocky. Like I had Rocky on my playlist, and that's the extent of how that movie and that character is absorbed, into my life. So
I
it's
had
cool.
Rocky Four. I had Rocky Four back in 1986. I had the cassette tape, and that's back when I used to
Yes.
work out and train and run and everything all the time. And I used to put that on front and back. I'd flip it back and forth, just working out to that
Yep.
thing. That is one of the
Absolutely, man.
coolest soundtrack tapes I've ever had or ever
I
seen.
know. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
and
love
yeah,
it.
like he's saying about horror and the Rocky movies and everything. Rocky by no means is anything, I mean, especially the first couple. They're serious movies. They're sort of a drama, but
Yeah.
you also get a lot of laughs and a lot of fun out of them, which goes to show there's so
Oh
many
yeah.
genres and so many different movies, individual movies. I think that just take themselves so seriously that you just can't enjoy them. You can't. They're not an any occasion movie. And but
Yes.
bottom line of it is, when it comes right down to it, we watch these to escape regular life, escape the stress,
Hmm.
not to get deeper into it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep. It's true.
See, he was a great director. Oh yes, he was. Still is to me. To me, he still makes movies. And hey, I am allowed to live in my delusion. Prison says, "What series are you doing after Rocky?" I think we're gonna do. I think we're gonna do a 2 or 3 weeks of top tens of the Russell Goria for a minute. Take a break from the reviews, and then we'll get back to them after that. But I'm not sure about what time next week because Al's been beating himself up. He's been getting up real early, and it was his idea to start at 9. I asked him what time you want to start. He wanted to start at 9. So he started at 9, but now he's getting tired. He's realizing. So he's like, man, we got to find our time. I was like, hey, my time's a lot more open. Yours, just let me know. Anywhere from 7 to 9, I'm good.
Yeah.
There's my fiance, Gretchen. Hey, y'all. Hey,
Hey.
baby. Thank you for joining again. Prism saying hello to my baby. Baby saying hello to Prism. All right, man. Are you ready to start this top three?
Yeah, man.
See,
I think
this
so.
this new idea. See, when the first time we did it, like with the Tarantino was kind of like the pilot for what this is now. When we did
Yeah.
the Tarantino, it was completely
Hmm.
unstructured. And and then we did. Let's see. Then we did the John Carpenter, right?
Yeah, we did Carpenter. Yep.
Well, last week, in between the John Carpenter and the Brian De Palma, I thought, what would be a good way to like drift into talking rather than just busting in and talking? I thought, well,
Right.
how about be a top three favorite from each person? We'll go back and forth, and then that would be a cool way to lead into it. And it worked out good last week with Jersey, man.
Yeah.
So, so drum roll. I'm curious what your number three is.
Oh man. Well, okay. And again, this was really, really difficult because there were two movies that I thought of to put at number three. Um, and
You
if you
can do that.
ask me, and if you ask me later on, or even a minute or so after I say it, I could maybe change it. Because I enjoy both of these movies, but the one I'm going to name I enjoy a bit more, and we already kind of glanced over it a little bit. But I'm going with Creep Show.
Awesome.
And
Nice.
the reason I'm going with Creep Show, I remember as a kid, going to the local Blockbuster and stuff like that, and I'll never forget going to the horror section. I had just started to kind of get into horror. I was a kid. I was like 7 years old, whatever. 9 years old, whatever it was. And I just remember seeing the cover of it and seeing that
Right.
skeleton in the theater and just the name Creep Show, and it was like, wow. And it literally had me nervous, and I'll never forget renting it. And I watched it, with my cousins and my brother and stuff like that. And it was Creep Show to this day, man. It's still one of those movies that it feels like you're transported into those stories. It feels like, just like, and I'm sure you know what I'm saying, just like back in the day when we would read comic books or the scary,
Mm,
the scary books and stuff like that. That's what the movie did on the screen or on the TV at the time. You know what I'm saying? And it
absolutely.
totally just pulled me in. The stories were fun, creative, creepy, at times scary. And it's just a fun movie, man. And I've never looked back on it. I absolutely love it so much. And we've talked about so many of the great actors, so many great actors and actresses, some of them, character actors or actresses, but they really were able to shine in this movie. And again, I think it's just a credit to the way that George is able to not only direct, but he kind of makes people comfortable, so the best comes out of them, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. And anyways, man, to this day, and I love and I love horror anthologies, and there's a lot of good ones, and
Um,
there are some that some people would say are better than Creepshow, but the one thing that Creepshow I think still has over any horror anthology that I've seen, anyways, and I've seen a lot, is that the fun factor. You know what I mean? Like when you watch
right.
it, and right in the beginning, you got the wraparound story, and it's kind of got the animation, you got that music that comes on,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like, it's just great. I just absolutely love Creepshow so much, man. So I had to put it at number three.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, and just like you were saying, the opening story, the wraparound story, it opens right up with Tom Atkins being a total dick of a father. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And
Yeah.
then you come to find out that the kid is Stephen King's son, and Stephen King
Yes.
was concerned throughout the whole making of it. When they talk about it when he seen that Tom was going to have to slap him.
Yep.
Stephen King was like, "Now you realize he's just a little kid now, Tom." And Tom's like, hey, "It's okay, Steve. I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to hurt your boy."
Right, right,
So,
right. That's so funny. Yeah. No, but it's
yeah,
great, man. And it's
yeah,
creepy, and having a dad like that and stuff. And, it's just like I said, the little kid, he's disappointed and he goes up to his room, and then you see the lightning outside, and then it just starts going. And it's like, it's just transporting you. The movie transports you, at least for me. And like I said, there's a lot of great horror anthologies. I like Trick or Treat, obviously
oh,
Creepshow 2. And there's a whole bunch of other Tales from the Dark Side, and so forth and so forth. But the thing about Creepshow is it's the fun factor. It's got that fun
yeah,
factor in it. So I
definitely.
love
It,
it.
it was one of the first times that, yeah, like you were saying, Leslie Nielsen is one of the first times he ever did something kind of goofy.
Yeah.
Like, especially when he realized he wasn't going to get away from him, it kept coming at him, and finally he breaks into this goofy laugh, and it, and
Yes.
it, it, it almost felt like it was going to segue into his part in Airplane. When he go, and stop calling me sure. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
Really not
Yeah,
serious. Yes,
man.
I am serious, and don't call me sure.
And don't call me Shirley. I know, man. I mean, and in that segment, with that segment, once the zombies are coming for him, coming into his house and all that type of stuff. I love the music and stuff too, man, and the way that it's shot, and it's dark, and you got the creepy music. And when I first saw it, I had no clue what was going to happen. And the way that, especially that particular segment, the way that it works is, I
Right.
honestly thought he was going to get away. I thought he was going to make it because, he had shown himself to be so capable, throughout the whole segment. And again, it's one of those twisty type of tales where he eventually, had to pay dividends. I can
Yeah.
hold my breath for a long time.
Yeah.
And man, it's so good. It is.
What's your favorite story in that first Creep Show?
Oh man, it's so tough because I'll tell you this. over the years, I've literally had probably almost all of them be my favorite. For a long time, that was my favorite with Ted Danson and Leslie Nielsen. But as of late, I've just been kind of into this Father's Day vibe, and I just
Oh, yeah.
absolutely dig that one so much because it's bonkers crazy. The setup is really cool. You got young Ed Harris. I mean, it's like I just love that one so much. Um,
Usually a poetic justice in a creep show story, but that has no poetic justice at all. He was such an ass. He did things so wrong. He couldn't even let her have
yes,
her love. They kill him off, and I'll be damned if the son bitch doesn't come back and wipe him out anyway. So it's like
that's
there's
right.
no happy ending to that one. He's like, I
I
want
know.
my father's cake, Bedelia. I want it. It's mine.
Yeah. It's great, man. I mean, seriously, it's such a good segment. It could be its own movie, if they filled it up with some, because the family too, and that's what I mean by fun. The family was really fun too, and just seeing their interactions and stuff, and of course Ed Harris being the outsider, learning about the tragedy and all this type of stuff. But it's such a good segment. But I've also really loved the crate for years. I thought that was a really good one because, up until the point before you see Fluffy coming out of the crate, you're wondering what the hell is in that crate, because
Yeah,
they really tease you for a long time. And
that's the one I would say they made a movie out of. That would have been fantastic. I guarantee you those actors could have
yes.
carried it. I'd love to have
Oh
seen
yeah.
Adrian Barbeau for a full 90 minutes in that character.
Yes.
By the time
Yes.
she finally got it, I mean, we were rooting for her to get it after 15 minutes. Can you imagine after
Yeah,
90 minutes?
that's right.
It's
Yeah,
such a
it's a great
little kid.
yeah, it's a great segment, man. And like I said, like I said, it's such a good movie from beginning to end. I really love it. Even some people kind of look down on the Stephen King segment, but I actually like it, because it's just bonkers
Jordy,
crazy. Jordy Verrill, and it's like, Stephen King's playing it for laughs. He's just so
meteor
dumb with
shit.
it.
Yeah.
Meteor shit. Yeah, I'm like,
He had
but
such a
it's
blast, man.
entertaining.
You could
Yeah,
tell
you
he had
could
a good
tell.
time. And then
Yep.
even all the way to a well, kind of a more serious topic when the one with E.G. Marshall with the bugs.
Yes.
Here is this just completely putrid, older, rich, spoiled jerk, racist of an asshole old man
Hmm.
that
Yep.
what I mean. Don't want any other people in his apartment, let alone a bunch of cockroaches. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, what a
Treats
parallel.
treats the janitor, treats a maintenance man like garbage, makes all kinds of
Hmm.
racial comments at him and everything. So you're hating this
Yep.
guy more and more as time goes by. So
Yeah.
by the
I
time
mean,
he finally gets it and they're calling out of him, you're feeling kind of ill, but at the same time you're rooting for these roaches.
yeah,
First time I
man. I
ever
mean,
rooted. First time I ever rooted for roaches.
right. I mean, and of course, you got the parallels in that story because that's what he looks at people like as a bunch of roaches, a bunch of lowly bugs. And when you get to the point where one of his competitors committed suicide, and the wife calls and lets E.G. Marshall know about it, and he's like, he laughs about it, he's happy about it. It's like this guy is a horrible person. And of course, when those roaches come out, they had to wrangle. I don't remember how many, a couple thousand. They were real, and
Yeah,
when they came out of his body, I remember seeing that as a kid. I lost it. I was like,
it was
what?
disturbing. That was disturbing. I
It
remember
was.
that's kind of when you're looking around at you and you know what I mean, you're
That's
checking out
right.
your feet. When you're laying in
Yep.
bed and you're looking over. That's usually
Oh
the
man,
night that you That's usually the night that you see a rogue spider crawling on the wall, and you're like, "What is that?"
that that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, but
great,
it's so
great
good.
pick. Great pick. My number three. I know we're not going to get nearly as much joy out of talking about it because Creep Show is just universal. But my number three, I think, like I said, I've gotten kind of weird in my older age, and I like vampire flicks. I like what I like. I like a lot of the French ones. I like a lot of the Spanish ones. I like the classic ones. But I think the most unique vampire flick that I ever seen had to have been Martin. And this
Martin.
guy wasn't a vampire, but he was, he sure thought he was, you know what I mean?
Right.
Um, and I think I didn't see that. I got there late on that one. I didn't see that one until maybe 10, 12 years ago.
Mm,
So
yeah, I was late on it too.
And I really wasn't sure what, I'd heard it was a vampire movie, but I really wasn't sure what I was getting into with it.
Hmm.
And I wasn't sure he's a vampire or not or anything. Like I'd always looked at George as, for a creep show and his zombie movies and, all that kind of stuff. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, I don't know. Right now, phase I'm in right now, I'd say Martin probably comes in at number three just because it's just so unique.
Yeah, it is unique. I mean, it's the
What
first
you're
time that
doing.
he collaborated with Savini, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, like like I said, we're not going to get into nearly as much joy in talking about it because there's a lot of people. I'm not sure how many people actually like it, but I really dig it these days, man. I
Yeah,
got
man. It's creepy.
this one of the Arrow window flip covers of it that I can't bring myself to bust the seal on, man.
Oh, that is
Still
nice.
feel it's been out of print since 2008. So luckily I got another copy of it. They're coming out with it on 4K
Nice.
very soon,
No,
very soon.
that's very cool, man. I mean, Romero himself had said that it was, a favorite of his in his filmography. So,
Mhm.
it's just one of those things. I think he, especially, and I think he said this, deep into his career. And I think when he looked back on his films, I think maybe it was part, and this is just my opinion. I think maybe he just appreciated how it was different, because
Yes,
it is a different type of movie, for
I
him
think that might
and
be
for
his
the genre.
favorite. Um,
Wouldn't
but
surprise me.
on this one, I think I might have to cheat on this one. I'm going to give it a half. The other half, I'd have to give to the third part of the Unholy trilogy with Day of the Dead. And I love
Ah,
Day of the Dead. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't rank up there with Dawn and Night because
hmm,
I think there's parts of it. I think, like for instance, with the military and everything, that I think they take it a little overboard with
hmm,
the obscenities and the way they talk to her and all that. That kind of gets on my nerves. It's got a bit of a lot of zombie feeling to it. I
mm.
wish that was toned down a little bit, but I
Yeah,
do
I know
love
what you
it.
mean.
It probably has the best single zombie character ever created. That
Yeah,
guy is that
Bub.
guy. I put him, the actor of that, I put him in that performance in the same category as like uh, Karloff in Frankenstein. I think he
Mm.
does every bit the job that he does. I think
Yeah,
the guy is brilliant. I don't know why he hasn't done more.
I agree. No, absolutely. He was just a character that was, and especially at that time, again, Romero he was just creating rules and breaking rules and then recreating more rules as he went along. And it was just so cool to see because up until that point, you never had that viewpoint from a zombie, you know?
Yeah,
And so now you started to kind of look at the zombies a little bit different, man. And again, Sherman Howard, who played Bub, he was just fantastic. He didn't miss a beat in that performance whatsoever, man. Like,
it,
and
yeah,
with, yeah, and with Day of the Dead, it's funny that I, I know exactly what you mean the way you were describing it, because for years, when I was a kid, my early teens and maybe even my late teens, Day was always kind of,
it's
in
a
that
little
corner.
vulgar during. Yeah, it's got times where it's a little bit unnecessarily vulgar with the way they talk to her and just the way that the soldiers act. I just think
Yes.
I understand where they were going with it, but I
Yeah.
think it paints them in a bad light. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
could have taken it
Agreed.
back just a little bit, if you ask me. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree. But I mean, fortunately, once I got into my early 20s, I kind of, just kind of reintroduced it to myself. And I kid you
right.
not, man. I kid you not. There was a time, I'm not saying that I liked it more than Dawn or Night, but there was a period of years where I watched it the most out of the original trilogy. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, first of all, I agree with you. The military guys were batshit crazy. Of course, Joe Pilato, he was he was entertaining as Rhodes, but I loved Sarah by
Oh
Lori
yeah.
Cardellini. I mean, she was great. She was absolutely mesmerizing in her role, and it was really creepy. I mean, they're in a goddamn underground bunker, a missile silo,
She's the
whatever it
only
is.
chick, and that's
Yes,
definitely not a safe place for Lori Cardell's character to be at. That, of course, being
yes,
the daughter of Bill Cardell Cardell that played the
hmm,
guy in Night of the Living Dead, the one that was talking to the guys. The guy said, "Oh yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up." That
yeah,
guy that's
yeah,
interviewing him, that's her dad.
yeah, yep,
That's how she got thrown.
yeah,
You talking about Toledo? Oh my God, Tocala, Tocala.
yeah.
That dude
I'm
pulls off
running
some
this monkey
great comedy.
farm.
He somehow he's falling down and standing up all at the same time as leaning up against that wall, going down that hallway. Tocala.
Yes. Yeah. He was so over the top, but entertaining. And I think the thing about Day that I enjoyed is that there was such a big spectrum, for these characters to play around with. You know what I mean? Because you had Lori that was, the heroic and kind of serious and so forth. You had Rhodes over the top. You had John, who was kind of, he's just kind of, let's just get through this, and I'm gonna just, you know, take it easy. I'm on vacation. But then at the end, he becomes heroic. And of course, you had Frankenstein, who was batshit crazy, smart, but totally crazy. And it was just a cool mixture. I absolutely love Day of the Dead, and I appreciate it so much more. And even Romero said that the fans of Day, he said those are the special fans because he said those are the really down and dirty fans. And I think he relished the fact that Day wasn't like an instant, you know, success like Dawn, and it took
Right, right.
time. It took time for Day to catch up. I mean, it's still trying to catch up to Dawn, but you know what I mean. It took a while before people started to really kind of get it, and just it's a great movie.
Plus, you got the makeup and the physical effects had took on a life of their own, in that they had
Yeah,
really come to the best that I ever seen. Just about any zombie movie was in that.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
To this
Um,
day, yeah,
yeah, yeah. Sabini had realized that. See, because he talked about, because they talk about how it was kind of bluish, and the pancake type makeup they put on everybody, and how it
yeah,
doesn't age all that well, and the blood looks like paint. Well, they had fixed a lot of those problems. He had said that it didn't look the same when
hmm,
he was putting that on everybody. He said, but somehow with whatever
right,
film, Panavision, whatever they were using, it came out that blue.
right,
That's one thing that my youngest son complains about a lot. That's his only
hmm,
problem with it, is the fact that they just look weird and the blood is like paint.
yeah,
So it's
yep.
like they they really made leaps and bounds with that in that.
Oh, they
They really
did,
did.
man.
I mean, the opening shot of the movie, they're walking around that city. You got that alligator, you got that guy walking, and Dr. Tong walks up there, and his mouth
Yep.
just opens wide, and it's just that
Yeah.
lets you know what he was in for the next 90 to 100 minutes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Absolutely.
today the Dead Bill Man is it released the same time. I mean, almost right about exactly the same time as Return of the Living Dead, and Return of the Living
Yes.
Dead ended up overshadowing it. Plus, Return of the
Mhm.
Living Dead was R-rated, and Day of the Dead they had put it on a limited release, and they had put it on a that was one you couldn't get into the theater without your parent.
Mm.
I mean, I mean, no, I don't think you get in there at all. I think that was the first one you couldn't get in there, even if you was with somebody over 18. I don't think you was allowed to get in there.
Oh,
I
okay.
do
All
believe
right.
that'd be something to check out, but I do believe, because I tried to go see that with my mom and they would not let me in there. So we haven't seen Return. Not that I was mad,
Oh.
because I love Return,
Yeah.
but you know, it didn't. So it just didn't get the same eyes on it. You know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
didn't get the same
Right.
amount of viewers and the same wide release as Return of the Living Dead.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yep,
And plus,
that's my. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and plus with Return, it was fun. It was, the rock music, and, you had Linnea and all these different things going on with that movie. So I think audiences, it was easier for them to connect with it. Whereas with Day, like you said right in the beginning, it was so vulgar and crass and dark and kind of a, not a downer of a movie, but it's definitely not as light as Return of the Living Dead, you know. And I think that those were all things that helped to contribute to the fact that it didn't take off initially, you know. But just like with a lot of great movies, I mean, like when we talked about Carpenter's movies, so many of his movies, you know, didn't do well in the theaters, and then they grew into these juggernauts of films that were at these huge cult status levels. And I think Day, you know, similarly became a cult favorite, a cult classic. And I don't know. I'm sure
What
directors.
word of mouth does, man.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm
Perfect
sure
example of what
director.
word of mouth can do. It's so strong. Just like that's the biggest thing in music is word of mouth by far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would assume that directors. I don't know if I think they'd probably rather have their films do well in the beginning, you know, as far as business wise.
Money wise,
But
right?
yeah, but I mean, as far as the longevity, you know, I mean, I mean, look at us. We're still talking about these movies, and Day came out in 1985, you know, so.
And Dave was
So
taken back several levels from what he wanted it to be to begin with, but they just wouldn't cut him enough money to do
yeah,
the epic, that he wanted to do.
that's right.
So he had to
Yeah.
scale it back several million. They only gave him so much because of what I was saying before, because
Hmm.
it was going to be like almost an X rating. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because like I said, people under 18, I'm pretty sure could not get in to see that theater. So
Yeah.
since that was going to be the script and everything, they said, well, instead of giving you this much, we're going to give you this much then because we're not going to make it back.
Right.
Because I
Yep.
mean, if you look at it, a lot of the crowd that loved Return of the Living Dead so much back in '85 was under 18 crowd. You
That's
know,
right. Yep. Yep.
all of us as little tykes. You know what I mean? Digging the hell out of it.
Hmm. That's right.
That's
Yeah.
my number three. That's my number three. That's a strange tie. Martin and Day of the Dead tied at number three, but I just couldn't decide between them. I said Martin, and I just couldn't find any to leave Day out.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely, man. It's a good choice. And of course, the other thing too is that I mean, I guess it all works out in the end because, you know, a lot of those elements that he wanted to use in Day that he couldn't, he transferred over to Land, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
that was, you know, I think that obviously helped Land out as far as, you know, what was in that movie. So, but yeah, George, yeah, I know he was disappointed when Day didn't take off, like everyone was expecting, but you know, it's a classic now, so I guess that's all that counts. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's a
Land.
great.
I think he tried too hard on Land.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I could agree.
Things just didn't come together. You know what I mean? He had a good
Yeah.
cast, but I just
Yes.
don't think that certain things came together right. I think they tried to use CGI where they shouldn't have. Just
Yeah.
little things like that. Cool effect getting that shot off and then flipping around and landing back down on top. But you
Yes.
know what I mean? Us old school fans, it comes right down to it when it comes to horror, especially. We want our physical effects, man. We got spoiled by Bottin and Savini and Baker, and that's just what we
Yep.
want.
True
See, and
enough.
yeah, oh yeah, Prison saying I like the Creighton Father's Day. Hell yeah, Ted Danson is
Yeah.
great. He absolutely is. And he was wearing a toupee all the way back then.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's kind of pushing up here. I do believe at least half of that's not his hair. Prism
Yeah.
says, "How did they get the roaches? Can you buy them?" I don't know. Do you know anything about that?
As far as I know, they had to buy them. You know, they had a roach wrangler and all of that. I had seen this. It was some documentary or some behind the scenes on it or whatever. And George was talking about how they had literally like a couple thousand roaches on set. They had to have a wrangler to make sure that, you know, they were where they were supposed to be and
Yeah.
all that. Yeah. So it's pretty crazy stuff, man.
Do you find that in the yellow pages? I mean, well, back in the day when there was yellow pages, look up roach, where to buy roaches, because ain't nobody wants them. They hire people to get
Right.
rid of them, not to bring them to the house.
Right. Right. It's just funny.
Only, only in a King Romero movie, it's like, who now wants these roaches? Well, they're doing a
Right.
Stephen King George Romero movie. Oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah,
What's
true enough.
All right. What's your number two favorite of all time?
All
Need
right.
something
Well,
good.
we knew it would come down to this, and like I said, I went back and forth on this so much, man. Like even right now, before I even say it, I'm I'm like hedging a little bit.
Right?
Uh, I'm for number two. I'm gonna go with Dawn. I'm going to go with Dawn. And well, first of all, I'll just talk about Dawn. Dawn of the Dead is just such a good movie, and it's funny because now that I think about it, so many of these Romero movies I would put on, I'd stick my VHS in the VCR, or when I had them on DVD, and I would just play the hell out of these movies, and Dawn was one that I did that with. It's just such a cool story, and the way that it builds this whole world out from Night, I think was just fantastic. Like, you really, at least for me, especially when I first saw it as a kid, I really felt like, oh my god, the world is being taken over by these zombies. Now, of course, all we see is just, Philly, just that area that they're in, but you got a
Right.
sense that this was all over the world. And again, man, the cast, Ken Furry, was just, God, man, he was so freaking good in this movie, like mesmerizingly good. And
Yes.
even as a kid, I was just locked in to everything he did. Um, but it's also horrific because they find this mall to hide out in, and they've got virtually everything you need, right? And you're thinking, okay, well, they're safe, and of course they have to kill some zombies inside and all that. But once they fortify the place, as a viewer, especially as a kid, I'm thinking, all right, we're safe, we did it. But then, of course, you realize the true horror is that they're stuck there. And and these were themes that he had already started in Night, but now they were being shown in a different way in Dawn of the Dead. And it was a horrific thing to realize, just like it was for the characters. It's like, we got to get the
Yeah.
hell out of here. And I think that's one thing, and I've said this many times even on my channel, that's the one thing about a zombie movie, especially good zombie movies, and especially these Romero movies, is that it's a numbers game. It's a numbers
Oh,
game.
yeah.
At some point, if you can't be on some type of secluded island, where there's no zombies, and you can be self-sustained with food and water and things that you need to live. And you got to have a couple people. You can't be alone. You got to have
Right.
at least a group of people. Unless you can do that and be guaranteed that you can do it, you might as well just die. You're better off dead, you know
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
because all you're doing is prolonging the inevitable. And I think that's what always is the creep factor and the horror factor for me when I'm watching a good zombie movie, especially these Romero movies, is that it's a numbers game. You just like Frankenstein said in Day of the Dead, we're outnumbered. I forgot what he said,
Yeah.
10,000 to 1 or whatever it was. And it's like, when you think about that, that is horrifying. So
Yeah. You're just
Dawn,
gonna blow the piss out of all of them. Yeah. And,
exactly. So Dawn obviously took everything that Night did and leveled up, and it was just such a great film. But I'm only going to put it at number 2. So, but I
right.
love Dawn of the Dead so much. I really do. Even with the blue
Well,
zombies.
right. Well, yeah. That's something I have no problem at all overlooking that because the rest of it is
Me
just
neither.
so awesome. You know what I mean? I don't
Right.
even notice that. Um,
Yeah.
my outlook out on Dawn is where Night invented a new whole subgenre. I think Dawn of the Dead took it one step further, and it was the first zombie movie to ever introduce the idea of it's not just the zombies that are dangerous to the people. It's the first time you ever really realize in a zombie movie that the people are left might be even more dangerous to you than the zombies are.
That's true.
You
That's a
know,
great point.
with the motorcycle gang coming in there, it's the first time it ever clicks to you. Holy shit! These
Yeah,
people want what they got, and they plan on killing them and taking it. That's the first. I think that's the first time in a zombie movie that ever happened.
I think so. Yeah. No, that's a
And
great
now you
point.
get it
And
all the time. Now that's major storyline in all these now. Whether it be an
yep.
apocalyptic, whether it be a zombie, it doesn't matter. Walking Dead's covered
Oh
with
yeah.
other more dangerous, crazy, even cannibals wanting what
That's
you
right.
got and wanting to eat you and what you got.
Yep.
So, it's like they're, as a matter of fact, you got people like Negan and stuff like that. they're a
Yep.
hell of a lot scarier than the zombies were for a good amount of time. And I think that might have been where they went a little wrong. I think they might have did that a little too much on The Walking Dead. I think that might have been part of what happened.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I agree.
but yeah, that's when he first. So George, his ideas and his scripts and his writing, it invented that part of the subgenre too.
Yep. Yep. And it lives on.
Yeah,
It lives
and
on.
and the only a couple of the main actors in it had any kind of experience. Like you said,
Mm.
Ken Foray had a little bit going on. Galen Ross, she was studying it on a stage and she was learning, taking acting classes from a Russian
Yeah.
um, acting coach. But as far as Scott Reniger and David Emge, Flyboy and
Hmm.
Roger, they were
Yeah.
working in a restaurant and he
Wow.
come across them. They work in a restaurant, and I think him and his wife, maybe Rubenstein or whatever, might have been at this restaurant. Came across them. George just kind of asked him, "Hey, do you want to try out for the movie?" And they was like, "Hell yeah!" They came, tried out, got and I guess George told him, "Okay, you got the part." That's how that went. I'm not sure if they
Nice.
were doing any acting along with it, but that's how that happened.
That's awesome, man. And they
Um,
were a really good group, man. They worked really well together as a four-person group, and that was, I mean, in any of his zombie films, especially this original trilogy, the characters and the dynamic of that the movie falls on the shoulders of that. And if the characters don't work well or if they're not compelling, the movie falters. So especially with Dawn, where it's funny because it was a bigger scope than Night, but it felt smaller because you just had a four-person group against the quote unquote the world, and but all four of them worked so well together. They really did.
by the time that their time came, at the end, after the bike and everything came at the end of that mall, what they thought was so great, and they had everything they could ever need in there. They didn't give a damn about any of that stuff. They just wished that they were alive again. Wish that money meant something.
That's
Um,
right. Yep.
my number two. That's strange. My number two tonight is also Dawn of the Dead, so I might as well just continue on it. I think two of the most important parts of that movie. Number one is when Galen Ross told Romero, because during that little part where they're there by the hangar, and Floyd Boy has to come and try to get the zombie off the Fran, and I
Hmm.
guess she was supposed to go and hide back and everything. And she told him, "No, I'm not going to do that. So I don't feel like Fran would do that." So instead, she just kind of just look. She doesn't run, she doesn't scream and act like like a
Yeah.
damsel in distress. She changed that and
Mm.
she insisted on doing it that way. George went along with it. Was happy he did. Number two
Mm.
was the way Roger Ken Forey reacted when he had to shoot the kids inside the building there at the hangar. That I thought
Yeah.
was very interesting. He said it all with his eyes. He was really good
Yes.
because he knew Dwayne Jones, and he told Dwayne Jones, somehow they knew each other. I don't remember how, but he told Dwayne, "Hey, George is making a sequel to Night of the Living Dead, and he cast me in it." And
Hmm.
I guess Dwayne was like, "Oh, great, tell George I said hey," and so he did.
Hmm.
I thought it was pretty cool that they knew each other.
Yeah,
But
that is cool.
he does a really good job acting. He's just totally sad. He's brokenhearted that he had to shoot these kids.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I mean, and again, that's those things that George has in so many of his movies that, like you said in the beginning of this show, he doesn't. It's not always hitting you upside the head with these things. Just little things that you can kind of just kind of absorb softly, and like you said, Ken Faree did so much with his eyes, and again, it just makes these characters like him in that movie so believable and so tangible, and that's why you connect to them, and that's what makes the movie so strong. Which, and by the way, and you know this as well as anyone, there are so many zombie movies. Like I don't know if I'd ever be able to see them all in the rest of my lifetime, but
No way.
what keeps the Romero movies above the cut of all these hundreds, thousands and thousands and thousands of other zombie movies are the characters. It is the way that he writes these characters, is the way that he directs these characters, and like you said, little things like that, like when Ken Faree, just with his eyes, and it's like I said, it's a credit to all these folks.
in the casting, putting the right people in the right parts, like finding David Emge washing dishes at a restaurant and saying, "Hey, you want to try out for my new movie?"
Yep.
There's actually a couple other times Ken Foree does it too, like when they find out that Fran is pregnant and they're all sitting there and he gets the same type of look in his eyes. He just kind of
Yeah.
looking at him before he asks if they want to abort it. He gets that same
Yes.
look in his eyes right there.
Mm-hmm.
He gets it when he realizes that the Flyboy has become a zombie and he's coming up.
Yeah.
Um, when Scott Ranger gets bit, when they're bringing the trucks up, when he gets bit, the look he gets on his face there, without saying anything, before he says,
Yeah.
"Man, that's it, man." He
Yeah.
says it with
Yep.
his eyes. He looks at him going, "Man, my buddy is gone now." He basically,
Yes.
you know,
He
Ken
knew. He
Foree,
knew.
I think, is so understated. Man.
Oh yeah. He's fantastic. I so
He's so
wish
face.
that yeah, he's such um a magnetic, he has a lot of just charisma. He's a magnetic type of actor, and I so wish that he had and even to this day I wish he had, more opportunities, because I think there's some actors and some actresses, they just have it. They just have a special thing within them that is so great on screen, and he's one of those types of people. And that scene, when Roger gets bit, the group, as well as the viewer, as well as myself, when that happened, I was like, oh no. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Like, you really came
yeah.
to care about this character. And again, it's only four of them. It's only
And you
four of
seen it
them.
coming. You seen it coming. He was
Oh,
losing it, man. You seen it
yep,
coming, and more than anybody, Roger sees it. You know what I mean? And he's like, "Oh
yep,
my god."
yep,
Or not
yep.
Roger, Peter, Ken
Peter.
Foree. He knows it's going to happen. He tries to tell him. He said, "Man, look,
Yeah,
straighten up, soldier. It's not just your life you're playing with."
that's
And
right.
um, so when it does happen, it's just like I knew it. He
Yep,
just and they were all friends, but those two were like,
yeah,
what I mean, they were a unit.
yep, absolutely.
So it's fantastic. Man, we could talk about Dawn of the Dead all night, and then we could spend all tomorrow night talking about Night of the Living Dead. That, that's
Right?
that's that's the two. I think everybody pretty much knows where we're going from here. You know what I
That's
mean?
right. Yeah, man. I
Um,
mean, yeah.
George Romero just seems like the kind of guy you could have a drink with. Oh, absolutely. Shoot
Yeah.
hoops with, have a drink with, have a serious conversation, have a heart to heart, anything with this guy.
Hmm.
He was just a dude. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Unfortunately,
Very
like
much
me,
so.
he smoked way too long in his life and ended up getting lung cancer, and it ended up killing him off. I didn't know he was sick. He didn't have oxygen or nothing like that. Just all of a sudden
No.
one day George Romero was dead. I was like,
Yep.
what? Lung cancer? Don't you cough and shit with that, or is that more like the COPD emphysema?
I guess it's more like COPD, but yeah, I didn't know he was sick either. And I was just like, oh man,
I knew he got
that
awful
was
thin
rough.
later on, but a lot of older people do that, so I didn't think anything about it. I mean,
Right.
he
Yep.
still stood 6'5". He was just thin.
Hmm. Yep.
Once he got thin like that, he looked like a little old man. He didn't look like somebody that would stand up and be able to play, small forward. You know,
Yeah. Right. Yep. Yeah.
but yeah, that's the roundup of our number two that we agreed on. I'm sure we agree on number one as well. Well,
Yeah. I mean,
I'll let you go first. We covered this one together.
yeah. I mean, it's, and again, I went back and forth between dawn and night, but at the end of the day, I just had to have night as number one for a lot of reasons. I mean, and I know this to some people, especially fans of George, it's probably very obvious, but just to kind of, just explain it. I mean, it started this thing, and for him to do this movie and make it work, without a big budget, without a lot of, things to emulate, and so forth and so forth. It was just fantastic. The story is so good. It's lean, but it's just so good. And whereas with Dawn, the world is opened up, but yet you've got four people and they're trapped in a mall, and that's scary, but the mall is huge. But at night,
Mm-hmm.
you've got more people, but they're in this house, this little farm, not a little, but it's just a regular farmhouse, but they are surrounded by
It was
zombies. And
creepy. Yeah.
it's just so creepy. And they're all strangers, even in the beginning, with Ben, he doesn't know these people, you know what I'm saying? And Barbara, I mean, they meet, but she's so distraught and traumatized, so it's not like they really get a big connection. And then of course he finds out there's people in the basement, and they got a little kid and this and that, but they're not as tight as a group as in Dawn. And I think that's what makes Night a little scarier too, because they're trying to make this team work, and so that's
Yeah.
another obstacle that they have as far as trying to survive. But also obviously just all the other little things that you see in Night of the Living Dead, like you said earlier, the black and white. It's something about that movie. Even when we did it on my channel, as soon as it comes on and the car is driving, I'm already like, ooh, I just get this feeling, the music is creepy. It's like old school creepy type of music, and I love it. Um, Everything about that movie just works. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that movie, but it still works. I still enjoy it. It still has its creepy moments. And obviously the ending is just I mean, it's such a gut punch. When I saw that as a little kid, I think I already had said this to you, but I'll say it again. When I saw it as a little kid, it literally shocked the hell out of me. Like when Ben got shot and killed, I was literally like,
Right.
at the
Yeah.
screen,
Yeah.
like for minutes after. And that's because you come to uh, connect with him, because Dwayne Jones was just so amazing in that role. But you come to connect with him, and it was almost like he was us. You know what I'm saying? Like if we were in that situation, we would want to, in general, handle it like Ben was handling it, and he had kind of made, you know, almost all the right choices throughout the movie. But then just at the end, he lifted his head up just a little too much, at that wrong moment, and gets shot. I
Yeah.
mean, like what irony, what a gut punch, especially, and also for that time, it's just a great movie, man. I literally could keep ranting on. I don't want to keep ranting because I know you got stuff to say too, but it is such a good movie. And as much as I love Dawn, I just had to give it tonight, just
Yeah.
based on all the things that it meant, and being the start, so
Oh, yeah. And my number one as well is 1968's Night of the Living Dead. And I just these days, like I say, as I get older, the more it's just solid as my number one favorite. And the
yeah.
difference between it and Dawn of the Dead is they get a lot of time where they've had time to kind of adjust and know that this was what life is going to be. So that's how they're
Yes.
able to come together and be friends and be able to coexist. And this,
Mhm.
they still, in Night of the Living Dead, they don't know what the hell's going on. It's all happening
Mhm.
as we're speaking. So,
Mhm.
they haven't had time to adjust to realize, hey, I'm going to have to be around these people, whether I like them or not. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's just all falling right at their feet. You know,
Yep.
I've had a lot of disagreements and differences in opinions in the Barbara character. I don't think she's too timid. Practically everyone else I hear from thinks that she's too timid, that she doesn't represent the woman very well. But you got to look at the
Mhm.
time. You got to look at the kind of chick she is too. I mean, you could
Mhm.
tell
Yeah.
just by her interaction with Johnny, you could tell she's kind of a timid sort. She's quiet. She's shy. We
Right.
still have those today. You know what I mean? Even though in this pro woman, women are as strong as they've ever been, which is cool.
Right.
But you still got your people, some people, just like some men, that are extra timid. And I just think that's what her character was. And I
Right.
think that's the way they intended her. Now, I know the
Mhm.
1990 remake, they changed that, and a lot of people like that a lot. I like that too. I just don't like the actress as well as Judith O'Day. I think she is fantastic. I think she does a great job. Everybody in it is, and none of these people, except for Dwayne Jones and Judith O'Day, are actors. The rest of these people are
Mm.
basically a part of Image 10, which is basically
Mhm.
on for my nose, but it's the 10 friends coming together, putting in $600 to make a movie,
Yeah.
and that's
Mhm.
basically what it was. And they was all friends, everybody doing everything, and
Yep.
that's where the Image 10 came from. But yeah, that's what I think the difference between Dawn and Day is the fact that in Dawn they've had a minute to watch shit hit the fan for a while, and they know basically what they're in for. We gotta
Right.
we gotta find we gotta get together. We gotta get a little bit of strength in numbers, at least a few of us, get someplace secure, and just stay there. But
Mm-hmm.
in night, they don't know what the hell they're doing yet, man. They all just
Yeah.
kind of ended up in that same spot, into this creepy
Right.
out in the middle of nowhere, pitch
Yeah.
dark farmhouse. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So not only are they strangers to each other, but they're strangers to the place too.
Mm-hmm.
In
Yeah.
in the remake, the house I do believe was hers or his cousin Reg's or whatever. In the
Yeah.
original Night of the Living Dead, that was none of their houses
Right.
except for the
Yep.
people that was dead and half eaten.
Yep. Yep. Scary stuff, man. I mean, and that in and of itself sets you off right in the beginning of the movie is that, you don't know what's going on. You don't know these other survivors. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what to believe, as far as are these people ill? Are they really reanimated from death and all that type of stuff? So all these things are just happening, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, just like that. And like you said, it's nighttime. And I'm telling you what, man, especially as a kid, when I first saw this, I saw it at my grandmother's house. As a kid, well, most kids, especially myself, I used to be scared of nighttime, like in the dark and stuff like that. And so this movie, was symbolic of that, and I think that again, George was tapping into a lot of stuff that to this day we're still seeing remnants of, you know this movie. It 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 it's one of the most important movies in horror, in my opinion.
Oh, by
And
far,
it
and it's so
Yeah,
scary. It's still,
yeah,
if I'm watching this late by myself and all the lights are on, watching by myself, just the aura. It's just the aura that he captures and the music along with it and everything. It
yep,
it it does tend to creep you out, and to this day it does.
yep,
Like that
it
little
sure
whatever
does.
that is when it goes, that screeching noise it makes when she grabs the trowel or whatever and it's stabbing her mom. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
just that is one of the weirdest scenes I have ever seen. To this day, it holds up.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yep.
and and you also got to think Karen had been bitten. They didn't even know what that meant yet. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
Ben says, he gets on some look on his face, kind of like the Ken Forey type look, when he says, well, yeah, she's been bitten. He kind of gets this look on his face like that's not good, but they don't know what
Mm-hmm.
the hell that means. They don't know
That's
she's
right.
going to come and eat them.
Yeah, man.
They,
Yep. It's good stuff, man. It really, really is.
um,
It's a classic.
now, I know you're a big fan of the remake. Tony Todd does a great job in there, and
Mm-hmm.
of course, George Romero helped Tom Savini direct. Tom does a good job directing. Of course, you got
Mm-hmm.
Tom Towles in there. He plays a
Yeah.
great asshole, Harry Cooper. You
Yes,
know,
he does.
I thought it was so funny. It was so typical of how the movie had come forward. I think it was 22 years or so at that point, to where
Mm-hmm.
um, Ben had gotten shot, bled to death in there. She had to shoot him and kill him, put him out. And I'll be damned if Harry Cooper doesn't pop his head out. Tom
Right.
Towles going, "You made it. We made it." And she's like,
Right.
"No, we didn't." Blam, and shoots him.
Yeah.
I'd have done the same thing. I don't think so. We made it, my ass. What do you
Right.
mean we? You got a
Yeah.
mouse in your pocket?
Right? Yeah. I mean, and I do really enjoy that one. I'd say
Yeah,
the one disadvantage it has against the original is the original, I think, had a little bit more of a like an understated tone, which was more tangible. And it's not to say that it couldn't have happened in the way that the 90
right.
version was, but with the original, like like the horror, God, I don't even know if I can explain this the right way, but the horror came out of these individuals being very relatable, or more relatable, I guess. It's hard to explain it, but the original, it just had this thing about it that was just so horrific, whereas with the 1991, it had its moments for sure, but it was a little bit more over the top,
Yeah,
the way that the the way that Tom Tolles played it, even Tony Todd, and I think they did a great job. And of course it's, they're trying to update it and bring new flourishes to it and stuff like that. So I understand what they were trying to do, but that understated vibe of the original, I think that's what really brings more creep factor for me.
Yeah, to me, the young couple aren't quite as believable either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
They aren't quite nearly as believable either. They tend to be a little loud, just a little
Yes.
obnoxious. You know what I mean? They just
Hmm.
where the original young couple, you can really feel they feel like a couple. And
Yes.
she
Yeah.
screws up bad. She's supposed to stand there and she's supposed to wait, but she doesn't. She runs out anyway, which screws the whole plan up. And
Right.
then we cost him his life because she gets caught because of her jacket, and he won't leave her, so they get killed because
Yep.
um, Ben's having to do everything by himself. Gas getting spilled everywhere, shit blows up. But yeah,
Yeah.
I just think it's that young couple. I don't think it's all around 1990 where I like 1991, but I just don't think it's all around its quality of the film as
Hmm.
the original.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
No, I agree.
like sometimes in filmmaking, and there's really they have no explanation for it, but it's like they refer to it as catching lightning in a bottle. And
Yeah.
Night of the Living Dead is one of those. It's just one of those
Yep.
where no matter how good any of the others are going to be, or how well they're made, or how good they're acted, you can only catch lightning in a bottle. Just like the original Halloween, they could make him creep around and hide and breathe in a mask all day long, but they're never
Hmm.
going to catch that same magic in a bottle again. It's just not going to happen.
Right. Yep. That's true. You know, and that whole lightning in the bottle, it's a combination of so many ingredients all at the certain time. Whether it's the
Yeah,
director and the makeup and the cinematographer and the actor and the script and the writer and all those things
perfect
working
storm.
together to, yeah, and you're right. You're never going to capture that same vibe. You might come close, and you might do some things that
Right.
um not I'm not saying that it's better, but like with Dawn, they did some things in Dawn that was fantastic, and they did push the envelope and push the genre forward. But at the same time, just like what we're talking about, at the end of the day, Night, it started with Night, just to put it simply, you know.
All those different ingredients come together that make the perfect storm, create what I like to refer to as the it factor. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Just like there's no explanation why certain bands or certain whatever hit so huge and so big, and why like
Right.
Guns N' Roses off their debut album After Destruction sold 12 million inside the first couple of years. It's because it doesn't mean they necessarily make better music than everyone else on the planet. It's just they have that perfect mixture that made that it factor. And
Right.
films,
Yep.
any kind of art has to have that.
Yep.
Just
That's
like
true.
people who have more charisma than others have, for
Yep.
some reason, it's unexplainable. They have
Yep.
that it factor where others don't. No matter
Yep.
how hard you
True.
try, you're not going to have it.
Yep.
And that's
Very
what
true.
I think it's got. Um, yeah. Let me see. Is there any other things about Romero you want to talk about? Any other of his movies that you want to point at or anything? Maybe any Monkey Shines or anything? Or
Yeah, I was just about to say Monkey Shines is a movie that just does not get enough love. And um I did a live stream, it was a while back, and we kind of teased it a little bit, teased talking about it a little bit, but I'm still at some point gonna do a stream on that, because I think Monkey Shines is so underrated and underappreciated. I think it was a fantastic movie. I totally love that film, and that was a movie that I was thinking about. I was thinking about it, and of course, Creepshow had to, Creepshow beat it out. But Monkey Shines is a great movie. I totally enjoy Monkey Shines. Very
yeah,
underappreciated.
I haven't seen it a lot now. Some of the ones that there's still some of his I haven't seen now. Two Evil Eyes that he made with Argento. That's pretty. That one I've seen. That's very interesting.
Yep.
The Dark Half I've seen that a couple of times.
Yep.
Bruiser maybe once. Now the Crazies for sure. Have you seen the Amusement Park?
I have not seen the amusement park yet, and that's actually still on my watch list to see, because that was just when was it released, in 2019? I
Not too
can't
long
remember,
ago.
but yeah, it wasn't that long ago. And so that's still on my list to watch. And I've heard some things about it. It hasn't been spoiled for me or anything, but I've heard from some people that were like, "Yeah, you need to check that out." So that's still on my list. And I think part of it too, not to get sappy about it, but part of it, part of the reason why I haven't watched it yet, I think, is just because it's still kind of it's still sad to just think that George isn't here anymore. You know what I mean? So part of me, I've kind of been dragging my feet on watching the amusement park, but it's definitely on my list to check out.
Um, how about There's Always Vanilla? Have you seen that? What is that exactly? I haven't seen that
I,
yet.
I haven't, although I've heard about it, um and I can't remember who was telling me about it, but it's one of those movies that definitely was not a favorite of George's. and and from what I understand, it's not really a great film, but of course if you're a Romero purist, you should probably check it out. But it's one of the few of his that I haven't seen, of his, that were released, while he was alive, obviously. But yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Got Jerry saying, "What's up?" Eric in the chat.
Hey,
Good evening, boys. Dark Habit's pretty underrated. Yeah, it
it
definitely is. I haven't
is.
seen it in years, years, years,
Yeah,
years. Um,
I agree.
Now, the crazies and now Season of the Witch is a strange movie, man.
Yeah,
I
it
I watched
is.
about the first 20 minutes of that maybe 10 times in a row before I actually watched the show. Yeah, I just wasn't sure. You know what I mean? I always end up switching off. I just wasn't quite sure what to think about it. Just had this
Yeah,
vibe. It feels so early 70s. It's
it
just got
does.
that. It feels like early 70s witch. You know what I mean? It's just got that thing to it. Um,
Absolutely, I agree.
Well, man, it's been kick ass talking Romero with you. We talked Carpenter, we talked Romero. Sometimes future me to get together and talk about just whoever. There's tons out there that we still need to cover. Um,
Yeah,
did you happen to
absolutely.
catch? Did you happen to catch the De Palma show with Jersey?
Yes, yes. And look, like I said, when you first told me that you wanted to structure it like you guys did, and I thought to myself, that's really a good idea because it, like you said, it kind of gives you a little bit of a roadmap. Because especially with this type of show, we're talking about our heroes, people that we have a passion for. So like you said, we literally could talk all night just about Dawn of the Dead,
Right,
and same thing with Night of the Living Dead. And not that that's a bad thing, but obviously, as far as doing a stream and having it something for people
right.
to absorb, you do want to have a certain road to follow. I think it's a great way to do it, man. I really
Thanks. I
do.
really appreciate that. I was trying to find the smoothest transition into that I could, that I could get a hold of because just sitting here going, "Hey, how you doing?" Bullshitting a little bit,
Right.
and then going, "All right, let's talk about George." You know what I mean? It's just like
Right.
I just felt like, now if I could find a smooth transition between bullshitting and going, "Okay, what's your number three?" That's my
Yeah.
next challenge.
Yeah, yeah, but no, but I think no, but I think it's a good conversation because we started off just talking in general about him, and there is so much to talk about with about him. You know what I mean? And I think for people that are not super fans like us, and even super fans that appreciate it, I think it's a good way to start it. For a couple of quick minutes. Kind of the general thing about like we did with George tonight, and then like you did, you said, okay, well, what's your number three pick? And then we just started to rock and roll. I think it's a great way to do it.
Cool. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
I just want to put out 2 or 3 times a week right now. I got twice a week, 2 or 3 times a week. I just want to put out something that's entertaining, fun
Yeah.
for not only me and whoever I'm on here with, but as far as the chat too. I want the chat to be involved. I want to, to have a good time too. I want just
Yeah.
That's what I want to focus on now. At one point, I was focused on so many other things, and I was worried about so many things at once. Now I'm
Yeah.
just having a freaking blast, man. Now I'm just having fun and just loose and having a good time.
That's the way to do it.
What's coming up on your? Well, hold on a second. Let's see. Echo in here saying hey.
Hey.
Gretchen back in there. Eric being Eric. No hate on Romero, but I prefer the remake of the Crazies. You can always count on Eric, can't you?
That's right.
That's why him and Jersey make such a good pair, man. If there's something to get thrown in there to kind of throw you the other direction, it's one of them two, man. They're just, you know what I
Right.
mean?
It's true. It's true.
Much love to them. It
That's
just
right.
kills me. I've done streams with both of them, man, and they'll just rip on some shit, that and it might be something that I like, and I'm sitting here going, and there's a little garbage it is. By the time it comes around to my turn talking, I'm just like, hey, I don't think it's that bad.
Right, right, right. Well, it's interesting stuff too, because again,
Yeah,
when people have difference of opinion, and if they're
yes.
able to explain it, like Eric does, like Jersey does, then that's when the conversation becomes interesting because it makes you think. And so
Mm-hmm.
now you start to have a really interesting conversation. So it's actually a credit to those guys, to
Yeah.
be able to do that. And it makes
And
it fun, man.
oh, absolutely. It's all about respect for each other's opinion, man.
Yeah,
Because just got to remember, everybody's opinion is important, and
right.
everybody's opinion. You know what I mean? Especially talking with all of us talking, we're all, you know, we're not, Albert Einstein. But when it comes to this shit here, we know what we're saying, and we're all gonna have all different kinds of flavors of opinions.
That's
And you know
right.
what I mean? I actually find Jersey to be one of the most interesting people to talk to, man. He's got
Hmm.
some really interesting takes on things.
Yeah,
You
he
know what I mean?
does.
I've actually learned a few things from listening and watching him. You know what I mean? It's just
Oh
really
yeah,
cool. Um,
absolutely.
so what do you got going on the rest of the week? Probably tons of shit, I'd imagine. Knowing you.
Well, we've been trying to, um, we're just trying to get through the summer, because so much is going on schedule wise and life wise and all that type of stuff. But on Thursday, we're going to do a watch party. We've been doing more watch parties because that's been a fun thing to do, and it seems like people enjoy it. And then on Friday, and I haven't even put the thumbnail up yet. I think I did do a post on it, but on Friday we and me and my brother especially, we've been talking about this for damn near a year. Um, but you know how it is when you go into a franchise.
Mhm.
I know for myself, I have to kind of prepare myself because I know if it's multiple films, I'm trying to think of how much time is it going to take, because how we usually do things. I prep the live show before I go live, so it's literally hours of prep beforehand. But anyways, long story short, on Friday we're going to start talking about the Saw franchise,
That's
and
different. You don't see many people talking about that.
yeah, yeah, and we've been
I
waiting.
like all of them, practically, man. I like all the way up to 7.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good stuff in there, man. It's definitely interesting conversations, and the popularity of those movies is undeniable. But like I said, we talked
Uh,
about doing this for about a year, and finally, we just figured, okay, it's time to do it. Let's talk about Saw. So that's the game plan, anyways. As long as nothing weird happens with scheduling, but yeah,
I don't think it gets the credit, after the first couple. I think the second one is the best one. That is my favorite Saw 2 is.
yeah, the second one is
After
great.
that, but I don't know about Jigsaw, but all the way up to number 7, the final chapter, I like all those. I think they're
Yeah,
all interesting. I don't think it gets the credit for being as smart as it is as far as keeping that story together and keeping that story overlapping.
I
Because
agree.
and keeping it easy for us to follow and understand. As long as you've seen all of them, it's
Yeah,
not too complicated. You can follow it. They don't make it too smart for the viewer. You know what I mean?
right. Yep, I
And I
agree.
think that's very important because that type of a story and that type of interweaving could easily be confusing and make people go, "What? What the hell happened?" But like I
Yep.
said, as long as you've seen it, you can follow it.
Yeah,
I'm a fan
I
of
agree.
7.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
man. Well, I'm prepared for Rocky 3 come Monday. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
man.
That's going to be fun. That's the one that put Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, and Eye of the Tiger on the map. How iconic
Yes.
can you get it, man?
It's true,
Um,
man. It's
I
true.
think we're going all the way to 5. I think we're going to go all the way to 5. I got to do 5 simply because of that one line in number 5 when he's having the flashback of Mickey. He's talking about being an angel on his shoulder. And
Yes.
when you're down and he's like you can't go on anymore, I'm going to be like an angel on your shoulder. I'm going to say, "Get up, you son of a bitch," because Mickey
Because
loves you.
Mickey
That
loves
always
you.
chokes me up. That always chokes
Yes.
me up. Just thinking about it, does. And it's
See,
just
man, we're on that
so we
same
got to go
level
for it.
because, yeah, we're on the same level because that scene alone
Yes,
makes Rocky
makes me.
Five worth it for me. And Burgess Meredith, wow, what a scene, man. What a
That's the last
scene.
thing he
And
ever
the
did, I think. I think it's
I
the
think
last thing he
so.
ever did.
Yep. And it's just a fantastic scene, man. Yeah, you're so right. You're so right. It's a great scene. I love it.
And Rocky Four speaks for itself. I haven't seen the new cut of it yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing it soon. Have you have, haven't you?
Yes.
But
Oh yeah.
but you prefer the OG though, don't you?
I prefer the OG. Um, First of all, because I've seen Rocky 4 so many times and I know it. I literally could recite that whole freaking movie. So when I saw the new cut of it, it throws you off big time. Now if you're a person that just saw Rocky 4, once or twice or whatever, or hadn't seen it in a long time, I don't think it's as much of a shock factor. But it really shocked me, and I've talked to a couple of big Rocky
Mhm.
fans that have said the same thing. The new cut, it's not that it's bad. It does have a few things that I think is good, some good choices Stallone made, but I think in total, I think I still prefer the OG, and
Uh,
and with the new cut of it, I'd probably have to watch it a bunch more times to really let it sink in, before I could really even think about saying that it's better. I don't think it'd ever be better to me. But it was nice that he did it. I give him
because
credit for
it's
doing
so
it.
foreign, man. The old Rocky Four and all the originals, like you said, we've seen so many times. The original Rocky Four since 1985 to us, the original is like comfort food. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I don't think
yes,
there's any possible way. I mean, it would have had to been catastrophically great for you to find that
yes,
better. I knew you would like the
exactly,
OG better.
exactly.
Is it that much different? I mean, how much different would you say it is?
Well, the biggest things that it does, without giving it away too much for you, is that it makes Apollo's character, gives him more weight, which is of course what Stallone really wanted to do because he regretted killing Apollo.
He got
And so
trashed.
yeah, and I think he wanted to kind of strengthen Apollo's the weight of his character in the movie. And I think to a degree he did that, which was cool, but there were other things in the movie that suffered a little bit because he also made some little cuts here and there, and when you see it you'll know, because even the choice of music, he changed the choice up of music a little bit, and you're just like
Mhm.
me, man, the music is a big part of the experience too.
I will
So
know every change. The second it happens, I will
yep,
know the difference immediately.
yeah, you will. Yep, that's exactly what I was doing. I was watching it. I'll never forget. I was watching it with Coriander, and every time I saw a chance, I was like, and she's looking at me
There
like
it
I'm
is. That's different.
crazy.
There it is.
Yeah,
That's different. That's not the way it works.
yeah,
This is a
yeah.
new part.
I will say one scene that sticks out to me, and I won't give it away because I want you to see it. One scene
Mhm.
that does stick out to me that I think was really good was Apollo's funeral scene, and you'll know what I mean when you see it. I think that was a very good scene that was changed up, you know. And so, but it's good, but it's not better than the OG.
I didn't figure. I'm just hoping to enjoy it for what it is too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just to give a second choice if I want to visit every now and
that's right. That's how I look at it too. It's
then.
just a different way to enjoy it if I want to. Yep.
Well, I'm looking forward to checking it out. All
Yeah,
right, man.
man.
I will be in touch. Enjoy the saws. Keep me posted on what's going on with you, and I will stay in touch. Thanks
All
again
right,
for coming
brother.
by and discussing George, man. It's a total pleasure. Thank you,
Absolutely,
Jack.
man.
Thank you to everybody who joined us. And don't forget, that is a Nightwatch zone. You know him very well, much better than you do me. But thank you to everybody who came by. Much love to everybody. I appreciate it every time y'all come through. I appreciate all my guests. I have evolved now. I am Sir GoreAphobe, and you are not. Have a good one.
Later.
You just blown the fuck up, man. You are hitting about 3,500 now. I hate you.
It's getting there, man.
No, I am just not. Well, I'll tell you straight out, man. This is how it is. I am just not a person, and I'm being straight up with you. I am just not a person. I'm not. I don't play well with all others. And I
Right.
don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, Not everybody gets me.
Right,
That's why
right.
I'm never going to get a big following. And I'm cool with that. I'm happy with the way I am.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, man. John
at
Still
first,
just jumped in too. John, what's up, John? He's saying, "Oh yeah."
we ended, didn't we?
Oh, I thought no, I thought no, I thought we were still live.
Yeah, we are still live. But anyway, hey, yeah, I mean, I'm just everybody knows that's one thing about me. Reading my bio, it says I am the Rodney Dangerfield of YouTube. I get no respect, no respect. But I am what I am. John loves me, don't you, John? I certainly get not being understood. Yeah, and it's not
Right?
that. I mean, I am a hell of a guy. Don't get me wrong. I am a good, nice person. I got a lot of passion for this. I'm just not someone that a lot of people take to.
Mm,
And that was, I think, the biggest revelation that I had was realizing I'm not going to be a big channel. I'm going to have a niche crowd. I'm going to have a niche group, and so
mm,
far I go well. You know what I mean?
yep.
It's things that what I mean with the issues that I have, and my, what I mean with some of the social issues that I have, was hard for me to deal with at first, but I've come to terms
Right.
with it. And I'm getting the fuck off here because we're supposed to be taking off. I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you in just a minute, Greg. Hold on. God damn.